Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith, and this is the third instalment in my new releases that I think should be on your radar list. It still feels really early in the year to be talking about some of these, because I'm going to go from July through to September, because last time we did up to June. But in fairness, July feels very soon. It's just September feels very far away, because that's how the progression of time works. I have quite a healthy list of things to share with you. As I did last time, I'm just going to go through kind of the basics of each of these books. Where I've got release dates, I'll include them, but some of these are obviously liable to change. This isn't an exhaustive list of everything I'm excited for, so whatever I've forgotten, just let me know down in the comments below. Let's go! I'm excited to chat about some new releases because I feel very much like I have been reading a lot of fairly meh books recently, with some very clear exceptions, but some that were not so good, that I would like to chase away with some of these, what I hope will be fantastic books. Some of these I have review copies for, which were sent to me for free by publisher. Doesn't affect my opinion. Nobody's paying me to talk about books. Let's go. July. So first up I have The Darkening by Sunya Mara. This is out on July the 5th, and I have a NetGalley arc of this, which is why it's on this list. I don't know if I'd necessarily be picking this up if they hadn't approved it, but this is YA fantasy, which is part of why I think past me requested this book. I'm trying not to request YA fantasy at the moment because it's never quite hitting the spot for me, and I don't know if that's where I am in the world or just the books I've been reading. We'll see, but this could be a winner. We have a daughter of revolutionaries who is on the run. There's some experimental magic. They are infiltrating a group of soldiers and trying to seduce the prince, kill the prince. And there's some sort of conspiracy about the death of her, I believe it's her mother. So there's a whole host of things going on. I usually like books like this. They tend to be quite enjoyable. I like, I don't even know if it's enemies to lovers. What's like the trope of spy to something? We don't know if it's going to be lovers. Let's assume maybe. I will be getting to that in the coming weeks. Her Majesty's Royal Coven, I've mentioned a few times. This is by Juno Dawson. This is out on the 21st of July. And this is a modern set book, I think, where there is a coven of witches who are protecting the country. There's a prophecy that might stop them. It is sacred sisterhood and demonic frenemies. I'm interested, and sort of modern witchery has been a term that has been used in the marketing of this book. And I don't know. I've never read a Juno Dawson book before. I am touch and go with things that are set in the modern world, but I think Juno Dawson is an author I would really like to get into her stuff, so we're seeing how we go. Hopefully I'm going to get to read that. A wild card for this list, Sarah Gailey's Just Like Home is out on the 21st of July. And as you all know, I will read pretty much everything Sarah Gailey produces. I love all of their stuff. It's so, so good. But this is, as far as I'm aware, this does not have a sci-fi element. This is a strict thriller? Crime thriller contemporary romance, which are things I like a crime book, and I have enjoyed a thriller, but not in like the traditional sense, I think. So I don't know what this is going to be like. I don't know if I'm going to love it because it is not my typical genre, or, as sometimes happens, it'll feel like such a palate cleanser because it is not my typical genre that it might be a good time. So yeah, we have Vera, our main character, who is called back by her mother to the house where her dad, who was a serial killer, buried a bunch of bodies, and there's also a creepy artist living there, and stuff is discovered, sort of crimey, thrillery stuff. We'll see how we go. I'll be really interested if you are a person who reads a lot of crime and thrillers. Are you planning on reading this? Because I'd be really interested to hear your perspective on it as someone who already reads a lot of books in that genre. And lastly for July, 19th of July in the US. I do not know if there is a UK release date for it yet. I'm unsure, but I will be snapping up a copy as soon as I can. This is The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I loved Mexican Gothic. It is my favourite Silvia Moreno Garcia by a long shot. I've read a lot of her other stuff, but Mexican Gothic hit the spot for me, and I think this might be fairly similar. It is a reimagining of The Island of Dr. Moreau, which is an H.G. Wells book, I think. I've not read it, I don't know anything about it, but I'm interested to see. It's a mystery in the jungle. Do I need to read the original? I'm going to assume no, and I won't get that side of it out of it, I'll just enjoy the story. As with last time, I'll quickly touch on sequels that are coming out in July. We have the second edition of Lore Olympus, which I will be pre-ordering because I would like to own them all even though I've already read it. A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. Love Becky Chambers, very excited to read the sequel to Psalm for the Wild Built. Yay! And also Bloodmarked, which is the sequel to Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I will be reading this. I'm gonna hopefully, fingers crossed, request it from the library. I would really like to read it though, so maybe I'll buy myself a copy if I'm feeling flush with cash. August. We have The First Binding by R.R. Verdi. Do I have Yes, I think I do have a NetGalley arc of this, I think. Possibly. I can't remember. If not, I've requested it. This is out on the 18th of August, and it is the Tales of Tremaine series. This is the first book in that series. The legend of how the main character, Ari, let loose the first evil and became a storyteller on the run. I'm wondering if this might have Chorus of Dragons vibes in the sense of looking back on your own story and reflecting on it inside the narrative. I don't know that for sure, but that's what came to mind as I was writing up these notes. And in fairness, I am reading Chorus of Dragons at the moment, so that's probably why. I don't know, it might be interesting. The cover looks really cool. And also, I got rejected for this, but I might pick up a copy. The Book Eaters by Sonia Dean. This is out on the 18th of August. This is fantasy horror, fairy tales and stories. So there are book eater families across England and Scotland, and one of the families one of the members of the family, I assume, gives birth to a mind eater, where instead of consuming stories, they consume like minds and souls, and they have to keep him hidden, and people want to stop them. A Mother's Devotion, yeah. Mother's Devotion is always a tricky one for me, as a not particularly maternal person, unless I am the mum friend of the drunk friend group. I often don't relate to that. I completely see why people do, but it's never something that completely grabs me, and it can lose me on a book occasionally. So we'll see. Also, fantasy horror. Sometimes I'm too much of a coward, but it might be good. So August. Sequels coming out in August, we have Furious Heaven, which is the sequel to Unconquerable Sun. I will need to do a reread of Unconquerable Sun because I cannot remember anything that happened in that book other than the general gist that it's an Alexander the Great retelling but space. So I will be rereading that before reading Unconquerable Sun if I do read that at all. Also, The Oleander Sword, which is the sequel to The Jasmine Throne. Oh, I'm so excited. I hope it's even more gay. Because if there's anything The Jasmine Throne is, it is slow burn. I would like the burn to become faster in book 2, please and thank you. Also, A Venom Dark and Sweet, which is the sequel to the tea magic book that came out, like, for me when I'm filming this, maybe this week or last week, and was an indie bestseller. And yeah, I would like to read them, but I haven't read the first one, so I can't tell you whether you should read the second one or not. And also The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim, the sequel to Six Crimson Cranes. Will I read this? I'm actually leaning more towards no. At the beginning of the year, I really thought this was going to be something I was absolutely definitely going to pick up, and I think I've come around to YA duologies may just not be for me, and certainly may not be for me to purchase. So it's not going out of date. The book will exist in a couple of years if I want to read it when it comes out in paperback, or when it's in the library, or I stumble across it anywhere else. It will still be there to read. I do not need to read it for its release. It will be okay. I just think I end up doing the books a disservice. So I'm like, well, this was fairly standard YA. And it's like, wait, great. Any other insights for you there, Judith? No, because you are nearly 30. I'm not saying that people who are nearly 30 cannot read YA and enjoy it, because you absolutely can. I don't need to be the person reviewing it for you. There will be other people reviewing it for you. September, last of these. Babel by R.F. Kuang is out on the 1st of September. How handy. This is dark academia, but very much looking at it from a perspective of criticising academia, which is, in my opinion, and also the opinions of some other people defining things, what dark academia should do. I think this is going to be really, really fascinating. It is set in Oxford in 1836, and it's a student against an empire, colonialism. I'm interested to see how it goes. I suspect it will feel very depressing, but I'm psyched up for that, and I'm prepared, and I have a copy that's already pre-ordered, and oh, I'm so excited to read it because I don't think they're going to send me an arc. Also out on the 1st of September, Unraveller by Frances Harding. New Frances Harding, are we excited? Yes, we are. So in this world, anyone can create a curse, but only one person can unravel them, and they are, of course, our main character, Kellen. But he is also cursed, and somebody that he meets, they have to sort out the whole, unravel all of the curses and so such. Frances Harding writes such wonderful books. I'm so excited for this. I have regretted from the moment that they stopped being in my local bookshop, I regretted not picking up a hardback of Deep Light, so I will. If they come out in hardback, I will be reading Unraveller in hardback. Please and thank you. The 16th of September, we have The Sunbearer Trials by Aidan Thomas. I loved Cemetery Boys. I thought it was fantastic. It's the kind of YA that I really do enjoy. I think this might be slightly more tropey, but I'm not averse to that. We have teens competing in challenges to keep the gods at bay. We have a 17-year-old trans main character. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I would like to read it. I would like to own it. I also really want to reread Cemetery Boys. I don't have any time. Day before that, I don't know why this list has gone completely out of order. The Red Scholar's Wake by Aliette de Baudard. In this, we have a main character who is a bot maker, a data analyst, a mother, and a scrounger. But their ship is captured by pirates, and there's an arranged marriage between her And I think an AI that is also the ship. There's something, some sort of robot thing going on here. Interstellar War Against Piracy. It's a space opera romance. I am a person who really enjoys Aliette de Boudard's writing. I've not read all of their stuff. I still need to get to Tea Master and the Detective and some of their short fiction, but ooh, I'm excited to do it, and I would like to start reading their new stuff as it comes out, because else I'm just going to build up even more of a backlog. And lastly, one that may not be on everyone's radar, but is definitely on mine, The Unbalancing by R.B. Lemberg. This is the first full-length novel in their Birdverse series. I read The Four Profound Weaves, which was a novella published in this world, and absolutely loved it. Really, really beautiful, really insightful novella. And when I saw that there was a full-length novel coming out, I got excited. I want to read it. We have a star keeper and a poet in a romance, and it includes their hallmark mystical cosmology, neurodiversity, and queerness. Yes, please, and thank you. I don't actually know what date that is out. I haven't written it down, but hopefully September. Sequels are supposed to be coming in September. September is usually a big month for sequels for me for some reason. It's just, clearly they're bringing out all of the fantasy in like March and September. I don't know why. The Golden Enclaves, which is the third book in the Scholarmance series, which I am so excited for, and that maybe can I combine it with Babel and we can do a whole conversation about Dark Academia? Maybe. And also None of the Ninth, which is Tamsin Muir's Locked Tomb series, book 3, surprise book 3 that came in. If you don't already know about it, the internet will tell you. I need to do a reread of the first 2 to get into this. I have a complicated relationship with the series, partly because I felt like everyone in my life loved it so much, and I was kind of like, yeah, it was fine. And I felt like I should have loved it to the amount that they loved it, and it never quite happened for me. So maybe this year is the year. I'm going to try them via audiobook because I think that will work much better for my brain engagement. So yes, those are the various things, some of the things I should say. They're announcing books every day. I'm getting excited every day that I am hyped for July through September. I also thought it might be fun to have a look back at what I said for January to April. Okay, yeah, we can go through these. So January, I talked about The Ivory Key. I read it and I enjoyed it. Echoes and Empires, I haven't read and I haven't seen it anywhere, so I haven't picked that up. The Bone Spindle, I heard mediocre things about it and I was like, you know what, I'm probably okay. Edgewood, I still would quite like to read, but I have not got to. Servant Mage, I read and I didn't love as much as I wanted to. In the Serpent's Wake, is still on my TBR. I'll get to it, I promise. Fire Becomes Her is also on my TBR to be read. How exciting. A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. I read it. It was okay. Wasn't crazy about it. The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea I would really like to read. I think I'm going to borrow that one. Extasia by Claire Legrand, I had a decent time with. I have read other books that have done similar things more successfully. 1,000 Steps into Night by Tracy Chee, I haven't got to. It fell off my list. The River of Silver, the David Bad audiobook, I had an audiobook review copy and loved it. It's so good. I will be buying a paperback when that's out. Lake Law by Ian McLemore, I have a review up for. I very much enjoyed that. Far Wilder Magic is on my TBR as we speak. I think I'm getting to it next week or the week after. Come Up and Served Cold by Marion Deeds, I really enjoyed. It's a great novella, really aesthetic 30s speakeasy kind of vibes, nice heist. And I think I'm going to save talking about April through to June releases until June, end of June. We'll talk about it in July. How about that? So that was the books I'm excited for July through September, as well as the new releases that I managed to get to from the video talking about January through March books that I was excited for. Imagine if I titled it that. Oh dear. Are you excited for any of these? Did I miss anything off the list that you would really like to get to? Please do let me know down in the comments below. While you're down there commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also follow me on social media. Come hang out on Discord, where we have a wonderful chill time talking about books when I'm not feeling as hermit-like as I have been recently. Hermit crab-like, I should say. But I just want to be in my little shell and not encounter the world in any way. But nothing makes me feel more loved and appreciated than my patrons over on Patreon. If you would like to join their number, that's in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one.
There's gonna be some bloopers now.
They hadn't approved them. And this is The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Sylvia... This is the daughter of Sylvia...